Yeah, nice to having you today, Shaun. How have you been recently?
Been good. Nice to be here. Different experience. But yeah, been alright. Can't complain.
Yeah. The end of the season, I mean, it was quite spectacular. No, what would you say?
Yeah, yeah. Best experience of my life so far
Yeah,
in terms of football. No, actually, in terms of my life, yeah. Going to Wembley, touching Wembley grass, playing a few minutes
that's
and winning.
insane.
Yeah, it's insane from where not even where I started from. I didn't even know I was going to play football. I didn't believe I was going to be a professional footballer to playing at Wembley. It was
Once in a
crazy.
lifetime.
Yeah, once in a lifetime. But hopefully, I never know.
Maybe
Like,
no, maybe
maybe not.
twice or three times, or
Yeah.
yeah. You're still very young, so you never know. You
Yeah,
never know
never
in
know.
life. Yeah, walk us through a bit your journey as well. You mentioned you never expected fully to happen. Maybe like you didn't necessarily as a kid thought you were going to
Yeah,
be playing in Wembley. Talk us through a bit
yeah.
about
As
that
a
one.
kid, so a kid, I grew up playing Sunday league football. So up until at least 14, 15, which is quite rare in terms of like not being in the academy system. And then the way I got into academy system at Burnley. So one of my good friends at school, he had a Sunday league team going to play Burnley, and he was like, "Shaun, you're good enough. Like, come and play with us. Like, we don't want to go there and just get destroyed. Like, just come." So I was like, "All right, then I'll just come." So so I went. Told my mum, "I'm going Burnley for a trial or whatever." And bearing in mind, Manchester to Burnley isn't that close. It's like London. If you say 45 minutes in London,
Yeah,
you
it
think,
is.
"Oh, it's oh, that's nothing." But like 45 minutes up north,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. But she didn't know really. She just thought, "All right, go on," sort of thing, and get your dad to pick you up on the way back. So I went and played, did all right, and it was like, come back for an actual trial. And then it just went from there. It went from like being in Sunday League to
So it happens like this.
like that, yeah. And within
Wow.
6 months, I got a scholarship to be there for 2 years.
Does your life change like dramatically when you like just like you said, a humble kid, no academy experience? Is it like it must impact you deeply, like such, quick turnaround,
So at the time, you're not even thinking.
even your
That's what,
family.
yeah, that's why I said that. Like, it's not even where it was a thought at that age. Yeah, I'm going to be a professional
Yeah.
footballer. It was just me playing football and just loving football, and that was it. And then the opportunity came, and I took it. But as you said, like it didn't account for how I'm getting to Burnley week in, week out. My mum hates driving on the motorway. Like the only time she's ever driven on the motorway was for me.
For that.
It was to go into Burnley. But otherwise, if my dad couldn't take me, we was getting buses, trains to all our away games and everything, buses, taxis, and that was just like a 6 month or a year period where not only my life changed, but everyone's life
Everyone's life
changed.
changed around you. Yeah.
Yeah, because my brother's taking me, my cousin's taking me, like everyone's chipping in to get me to training, and yeah, everyone's life changed. But in the end, I can say it was worth it. But as I said, it wasn't planned.
You
No one
didn't
knew.
plan. Yeah.
No.
This is an interesting topic. If my colleague is going to listen to this, I would like to, like, dedicate this piece to her because she's got like a very young kid and she's feeling the pressure around kids since a very young age. How do you think? Like, I think you probably didn't have that sort of pressure behind you from your family. Do you think that helped you as well growing up?
Yeah. Because I would say, not growing up in an academy, but I can say that you get a label. So even like, and academy kids went to my school. So I went to a school that before City had a private school for them to go to. A lot of them went to my school, and also some of the United kids went to my school because it was 10 minutes away from the training ground. So you see how they're treated differently, even within the school system. That, oh, they're the City kids, they're the United kids. Never mind life-wise, but when they're so young. So it's like, I can imagine. So for example, I can't remember, Pozo. I don't know if you remember Pozo. Came over from Real Madrid to City.
Pozo, yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
So him and his brother came over from Real Madrid. And you can imagine that coming into an English school system. You've come over from Real Madrid. You don't speak a word of English. But you're also carrying a family at 15, 16, or however old I was, 14. I couldn't imagine that. Whereas my experience was the total opposite. I didn't have no thought I'm gonna go, like they was thinking I'm gonna go play for City at this point. I'm thinking, can I get through my GCSE maths? Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the pressures of football, and I was able to be a kid. Like I was able to be with my friends on weekends and do what teenagers do.
A kid should do, yeah.
Kids should do, whilst right in the back end where it kind of gets a bit serious, because in year 11 you're doing your GCSEs, you're doing this. At the same time, that's when I kind of kicked on with football. So
And
you
it
hope,
kind of become transition to more professional
yeah.
setup.
Whereas everyone else, you go up that academy system at 9, 10, like they decide what school you go into. You get taken out of school for a few days. You do this, and you're all prepped up to be a footballer, but it's not that easy. Like it's not like the percentages of what the percentages are. I don't know, but I think they should be allowed to be human beings first, instead of you like what's the word when you say a commodity.
A commodity, yeah.
I think kids are treated like commodities, where like we're gonna invest time and everything into them, and hopefully in the back end they're worth millions. But the kids,
What about the kid? Yeah.
yeah, like the kids, like they don't know,
No.
because they're not actually footballers yet. They're just trying, but even in their head they're thinking, yeah, because I can imagine they go on tours, they go to China, they go here, like when. Like by the time they're 17, 18, they've got a few K followers on Instagram, blue ticks, and they've not kicked a ball yet.
Yeah.
But in their mind, like
They're already there.
they're already there. And like telling people no, or telling, because that's what it is, you will get rejected in football. And they don't prepare you for none of that. And that's one of the main things, is like they will reject you to tell you, no, you're not good enough, or you need to do this. But in their brain, they've been top dogs.
Yeah.
Most popular in school. Like, some might have night contracts already. Like, play for England or whatever. And then,
All of a sudden, yeah, you get thrown away.
yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
Yeah. That's, it's a harsh truth. How would you deal with pressure? Not pressure, sorry, with rejection. Because that's, like you said, I think that's a big part of football that it's not spoken enough of, dealing with rejection. Because you're going to get rejected at some point. It's inevitable in football.
Yeah. How
did you deal with it?
How did I, when I got rejected? So when Bernie said, oh, you're not getting a pro contract, I went back to my digs where I was staying, and my girlfriend at the time, still my girlfriend now, I've been with her since 16, 17.
Wow.
And I went on the phone to her, explained what happened, and we just spoke about it. And I was like, oh, what are you going to do now? This, that and the other. So I was like, just going to have to just graft. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got to do something. So at the time, that Bernie said, oh, you can like have a week off and like go away and do whatever. But in my head, I thought, what's a week off going to do for me? So I went into training the next day, even though I had no one to train with. I just went into the gym. I did my own things in the gym. And I remember like the ones who got pros, which wasn't many, it was like 2 of us out of the group of 14, our age group, or however. Yeah, it was about 2 of us, yeah, Aiden and Caius. And then the under 21s, who were the young pros at the time, all come in like, oh, like how you feeling, this, that, and the other. And I was like, just got to get on with it. And then that's my mum's mentality as well, you just got to get on with it. So I just got on with it. And then at that time, I thought, who did I play against well? Who did I play well against? And somehow I just got numbers. I don't know how I did. I just got numbers and started ringing by myself. And then also one of the under 21s said, "Oh, here's my agent's number." So I was like, "All right then,
Let me try it.
I'll try something." And he brought me to like a non-league team. That agent brought me to like a non-league team. He's not my agent now, but he brought me to a non-league team and said, "Oh, we give you free." I played one game for them and they said, "Oh, we give you £350 a week, and you can come play for us." So I thought, if I can play one trial game and get 150 quid a week, surely like I might be able to do better than that, like, or higher leagues or whatever. So I thought, do you know what, I'm gonna keep, because it was a good period of time from, I can't remember, was that January so that to the end of the season. So I had a good period of time to find something. So I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna try keep going on trials everywhere. So I went to Wigan. They said, "Oh no," and then I went. Then I spoke to someone from my area who used to play for Crew and stuff like that. Or like, "Oh, like this is my situation. Like, can you help us out?" He brought me to Crew, and then so I was at Crew for a decent amount of time, and then they just got they got relegated from League One to League Two, and they said, "Look, we can't offer you a contract, but you are good enough to like go and play football." And then so out of nowhere, I got a phone call from. I didn't get a phone call. My mum got a phone call from Bournemouth. So that's how, technically, to get back to your question, I just kept on trying,
Just did try to do something.
Yeah. And then something came up from just trying. And then I later found out, whilst on trial at Crew, I had a lot of young players at the time that was playing for the first team in League One. And then their scout come down to watch them. But I had no one attached to me, but obviously I was on the list or whatever. Oh, he's all right. Nothing's attached to him. Like, we'll do like,
Try.
we'll just give him a try sort of thing. And then it was their first season in the Premier League. And then it was like 2 weeks left of the Premier League season. And they said, just come down. And then so me and my dad went down.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Like, all of a sudden.
I don't even understand how it happened. Like, I actually don't. Like,
You don't know.
like it just happened. Like, I couldn't even explain it. It was crazy. And because it was over, like, he rang, like, the scout rang my mum, and my mum's just left it, like, "Who's this number?" sort of thing. And she said, "Oh, like, because it's Eddie Howe's nephew, Andy Howe." So my mum's like, she went on WhatsApp, put his number on
Bless her.
WhatsApp, and like, "Who's this Howe?" So I'm thinking, Eddie Howe? I think, how's Eddie Howe? Messaged my mum. So it was Andy Howe, right? He said, "Oh, like, come down for a trial, this, that, and the other." And I thought, it has to be legit. Like, why is Andy Howe messaging my mum?
Mum.
So, as I said, me and my dad just went down, and obviously it was legit. And then at the same time, another person from my Burnley team went, but he went down with me at the same time, but he decided to leave because it was a trial, and his agent, I didn't have an agent at the time, his agent told him to go elsewhere, and I said, "I've got nothing, I'm just staying. Even if I'm playing for free, I don't care. Like, they're in the Premier League, I'm just gonna stay."
Just stay, yeah.
Yeah, and I stayed. I did the 2-week trial, then I had the off season, then went back in pre-season, and I don't even know how long before I got signed, but I just stayed there. Like, weren't getting paid, nothing, and I just stayed there until they said, "Oh, like, we'll offer you a contract," and that's how I ended up at Bournemouth. Like it was just out of the blue, similar to Burnley, just out of the blue. But I believe that the work I was putting in, like, just in around the place.
I was going to say, because you mentioned, it's funny because you mentioned, I don't even know how that happened, but to me, it sounds like you've done a lot of sacrifices actually to get to that position,
Yeah,
but you sacrifice a lot, your time, your energy,
Yeah.
no money, maybe, just anything.
Yeah, like, so, like, especially not the no money part, but because obviously when you're a scholar, you get paid, like, I think it's £150 a week, so 600 and
Odd.
odd pound a month,
Yeah.
end time. So that was so when I was on trial in pre-season for Bournemouth, I was getting no income. So I did save. My mum told me to save, so I saved. So I was all right. But when they're going out to Nando's and they're doing this because at some point you actually are part of the team because I was there for so long.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was getting invited to do things and I actually couldn't.
I can't do it.
I can't do it. So luckily they was paying for my digs and like my living. So I was all right. So I got fed and had a roof over my head. But in terms of let's go Nando's and let's do this, I couldn't do it. So that was my sacrifice and the sacrifice of shipping up from Manchester, going all the way down to Bournemouth without a thought. Like it wasn't even a thought like to say, I'm not doing that. Some people would, but there was no thought. I just said, yeah, Dad, like I've got a child come down on Friday. Like, can you bring me down? And it was just, and there from then, it just took off from then, really.
No, wow, that's an amazing story. To be honest, I didn't expect all these details, coming off the story. It's beautiful to hear it. And I think, like I said, it shows your mentality as well, like, this, grafting mentality and, getting after it, which is, I think is a quality that is often overlooked in footballers as well, having that quality of appreciating everything and, even appreciating of being able to put yourself in that position, which is not guaranteed in football. Like you mentioned, it's a very thin percentage. I don't even know what the percentage is, but it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's a crazy percentage. And I think being in football, now I realise that you need everything to go for you. Like in terms of your physical, your technical mentality, luck, everything to be at the highest level. Because the Premier League, for example, they have access to everybody in the world. Like there's a Premier League team can buy anyone from anywhere. Like so you are technically, when you get to like a certain level, like 18, you are technically competing with someone in Ecuador you just never heard of. He's good enough and he's playing somewhere in Ecuador, but you're thinking, I'm in England, I'm all right. But there's this kid in Ecuador tearing up the league. Someone has eyes on him. Yeah, we're buying for 2 million or whatever, how much they're buying for, because they have the access to all of that. And you're that kid in England at like a Premier League club thinking, oh, no, I'm all right. And then
this kid comes.
this kid comes from nowhere. So you are competing with everybody, and it's so hard. And even it comes back to the point of when you said about rejection. You can't be so hard on yourself because you're getting in an industry where it's so competitive. There's so much money in it. Like you can't be, I've not made it in the Premier League.
It's ruthless. So
it's ruthless. That
sometimes it's a matter of luck or just tiny details as well.
Yeah, and you just you can't take it to heart that someone says, no, you're not good enough or this, that, or whatever the reason is. You just can't take it to heart because it's just what football is. That's what I've learnt to know. That's what football is. There's always someone. Like there's always someone next for a club. Like United had the legends and whatever and this, that, and the other. There's always someone next. Like they'll be remembered, but
there's always someone else.
There's always someone else, and it's just who that club replaces them with. But when you get older in football, you kind of understand that. But when you're young, you're like,
it's too much.
It's too much. Like, but if I didn't have my support system, just to say, just get on with it. That's all they said. Just get on with it.
Get on with it.
You can't do anything. Just get on with it, and then see where it takes you, sort of thing. And
that's an ability, yeah. The ability to let go and just say, okay, I have something. You need to be almost as ruthless as those clubs that make the decision, because they have to be.
Yeah.
The industry, the way the industry is made, is they have to make those strong decisions. But then you need to just be able to make those decisions yourself too, and just be like, okay, you know what? It's just another club. I feel like sometimes, and it's unfortunate, fans don't necessarily understand that.
No.
that to you is your career, is your life, and it's on the table, and then it's just, like you said, any minute you can just get thrown away, just like that.
And
so you need to be able to make those decisions for your own career. And,
I don't understand. Because I remember on a school visit when for Oldham, there was like, oh, would you go play for Rochdale, which is like the derby, like the local
Yeah,
rivals. Like with no thought in my head, I went, yeah,
of course.
yeah,
I'm a professional.
yeah, like Oldham's not going to pay my bills forever,
Yeah,
which they haven't. And then Rochdale will say the Rochdale haven't come in or anything, but yeah, why not? I'm not going to pay my bills. It's not like, say for example, like with the Trent Arnold
yeah,
situation, who wouldn't want to play for Real Madrid?
yeah.
It's Real Madrid.
It's Real Madrid. Yeah,
Like
and sometimes it depends on what time in your
in
in
your
your life
life,
you
yeah,
are,
yeah,
because you might want to experience something abroad,
yeah.
because you're not going to get that chance anymore in your life.
No,
So whatever, you have to contextualize everything.
yeah, like yeah, it's Liverpool. I understand that, but Real Madrid is
It's Real
it's Real
Madrid.
Madrid. I was a lifelong United fan from when I was a kid. That was my team, and I was at their winning days. So I've seen them win Champions League. I've gone on that when they go down the parade. I've left school and just walked down, followed the bus, everything. And if I played for United, and at the time my second team was Barcelona, even though they beat them in the Champions League, but like the Messi and the Iniesta, that
Yeah,
group, like
it's
if
fascinating.
if an opportunity and I was in that level, and then I said I could go play next to PK, Messi's there, Dani Alves there, like
No brainer.
there was I wouldn't even think about it, even as like a United fan, like yeah, I can play next to Rio, but I can be part of the best club team ever.
Ever. Yeah.
So, and then, but I get why there's fans where they'll be like, "Oh no, you can't do that." But it's football. Like
It's
they would
fun.
do it to them. Like if someone dropped off in performance and they can get someone else in, and they're this hometown
Yeah,
talent,
it'll be.
there's no question of thought. Like if Trent wasn't good enough, or whoever's not good enough for from the academy, the club would not feel any way by saying go play for Leicester.
No. It'll be like a very quick decision
Yeah,
to
it'd be
make.
very, very quick. Oh yeah, we can get some money from him. Is it
Or
from the
even if
academy?
it. Sometimes it happens often. It's even a financial situation, and the player gets thrown under the bus because the player's been maybe in the academy system for like 10 years, and then
Yeah,
he's played 10 years within first team, and then they get to a point where maybe like a big offer comes in, and then the player is the one that gets the blame,
yeah, but it's
which is absurd.
yeah, because the clubs, the clubs are they know what they're
The
doing.
one benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So like, as a player, when you got opportunities like that, you just
you
gotta
gotta
take
take
them.
them. Yeah,
You just gotta take them.
yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting topic, but
Yeah,
I'm glad you agree with me,
yeah,
because you can say that like firsthand. You're the one like experiencing some of that. But it's also interesting what you mentioned. You mentioned the level, and I think sometimes this comes from an Italian. Speaking to people abroad, when I mention the national league, uh, and how competitive it is from
yeah,
physical level, technical level, tactical elements to it. It's very hard for me to translate
yeah,
how difficult the league is, because I
yeah,
see it, live
yeah,
often. I see it in TV often, and I've experienced the scouting and analyzing football at that level, and I know how difficult it is to play and to do it
yeah.
consistently. How would you say it compares to, maybe because you've been like Bournemouth setups and stuff, so you've been at a higher level? How would you compare the competitiveness of it?
It, I say it's two different sports. I think from League One downwards,
Yeah,
it's two different sports.
physical, isn't it?
It's so physical. like like the technical aspect, even that like is different. So so when the higher up, it's more controlled. It's the pace of the ball is moving way quicker and everything. So like
It's fast.
physically, like they can't run to everything. Whereas down below, like the turnovers and everything, so everyone is actually getting after it. Everyone's running after it. They're up against you, everything. Whereas in the Premier League or the Championship, like the ball's
Moving fast, yeah.
moving fast. That's the pace of the ball, and people are moving and off them, and you're more like tactically moving. More as lower down, it's you up against someone. You always
Constantly.
constantly like not that you don't have to be aware of space as much, but it's the physical battle. You win your first physical battle first, and then it's about not even it's just totally different. Because I remember, say for example, at Bournemouth, we had patterns of play down to a T. Like we knew what we was doing. Like the first team, like they had names for their patterns and everything. It got filtered down. So like when we go up with them, it's the same patterns. We're not like messing up the patterns because it's quite difficult patterns, right? And it's on the ball, and it's not that it's done for you, but the game, the manager sets how he wants to see the game played, and you've got to do that technically and tactically. You just got to do it. Sorry, you just got to do it. And then lower down, the manager might be like, "Oh, they play 4-4-2. We're playing 3-5-2. He's quick. He runs in behind. He's strong. Deal with it." And then whereas Bournemouth, all right, we're going to train this. We're going to move the ball this way. If you come inside here, that opens up Callum Wilson to run in behind there. And it all works. Like, it just works. Like, they had that plan down, and it just works.
Is it not even harder to play at a lower, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you then have to be a lot more, technical about your thinking as
Yeah.
well.
Like say for me and my centre back partner at Oldham, Charlie Raglan, we'd have to conversate on how we're gonna deal with this, and how different strikers deal with different, like how like two big men. Sometimes there's two big men, but more time not in that league. There's two big men, and how you deal with that, because what happens with the big man, it goes into the big man and then there's runners off him. So if me and Charlie go tight to the big men and we don't take into account the runners off him and we don't discuss that beforehand, we're getting shouted at, we're getting blamed at, we're going to get dropped. But whereas in the Premier League, it's so much more methodical. It's quick and it's at a high level, and you have to be sharp up there in the Premier League. It's not as basic as such, but it's two different ends of the spectrum. Like, a good Premier League centre midfielder won't necessarily be good in League Two.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy to say.
No, not to me at least.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean he's a good League Two player.
It doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate, like being good on second ball, and depending what team he plays for. So if he plays for a good team that are keeping the ball more time or not, or the manager has tactics where they're going to keep the ball for, like, for example, I don't know, a Notts County that was they're in League Two now. They're known for keeping the ball. Yeah, a Premier League centre mid could say, I can run that easy. I'll just run the game. But if you go play
until you get there,
and then you play, I don't know, who can I say who are quite physical. Take your pick. I don't know, but a team that's just, it's just the games like this.
you know what? Once I was scouting for like a championship club, and it was my, like, at the beginning of my scouting career. I was a young scout, so I didn't really know what to look at. I was new to England. I was scouting two players. One of them was a winger, and I couldn't really understand how to actually scout the player, because it was, like you said, it was like a ping pong constant. I was like, what am I looking at? Because it was a game of instance, and in some ways, the player actually ended up becoming like a fairly good player. Like playing, I think he managed to play in the Prem for one season for Luton as well. But at the time, I remember like my scouting, my scouting report was, I don't think he's ready for that level. But then next thing you know, he's in the Premier League a few years after, because it's so, and he did amazing in the Prem. I think he played for Luton. His name is Doughty. So he played as a left wing
back. He did.
Yeah,
he was
wing back.
Yeah, and he was at Charlton for a bit as well, I think.
He was at Charlton for some time. Yeah.
And that's, but so I can picture in him his energy, and he's flying up and down the wing,
Yeah.
and he suits a Luton. Like,
Again, yes, that's his.
he suits that team. Like his physicality of how he's just constantly going up and down the wing, and I think he's left footed as well. Got a good left
Yes.
foot, can put balls into the box. He suits Luton.
More of a classic winger, you know?
Classic winger, and he's also probably obviously because he played left wing back. He's not bothered about doing his defensive work either.
No.
But whereas someone who like a proper technical midfielder, I don't know, say like a Jorginho.
Oh my God!
If you put
nah.
Jorginho
in the national league,
in the national league, he'd be like saying that Corey Evans, when he was at Oldham, he's shown his quality, but we was a better team. But if you just put Jorginho in there, you'd be like, and he'd be just like, what is this?
You're not going to be able to see the full picture at all.
You're not going to think he's a World Cup winner.
Yeah.
Oh, the Euros.
Yeah,
you're not going to think he's
that good.
He's that good, but like he's one of the best. Like he dictates play. Like one of the best centre mids in recent times. He's probably underrated.
100%.
Of recent times, of what he's done with Chelsea internationally at Arsenal. But if you put him in like a League Two National League situation where it's pure physical, he's winning second balls, he wouldn't translate.
No, not as good as, you know.
He can be. Like obviously you're technically better than everyone.
You would understand there's a technical player there, but you won't necessarily think this guy's a Euros winner.
Yeah.
You know, someone that can just, you know, slow down the game whenever he wants to.
Yeah, and the manager might not want that.
The manager might not even want that sort of play. That's the thing. Yeah. How would you say your experiences shaped up in, you know, the play you are now? Like how would you describe as well, like, your playing style?
My playing style, I think, not that it varies. It's just I've got to the point where football is now my job, so I just do what's asked of me, right? But the way I see football is two different things. So, like, as I said, I didn't grow up in an academy, and I grew up just playing football in the street sort of thing. So when I went into the academy, I was doing tricks and that in the box as a centre back, just like how I would in the street. Like I'm taking on players in my own box. But obviously at the time the playing out thing came through, and then like you said, you can't do that, but we do like you trying to do a bit. But when you get older and now you go into the professional standard of it, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's just, this is what you have to do, and I accept that. But it's not the way I see football. The way I see football, I probably do have them same traits where like at times I might be a bit composed or I might find passes, but I understand that my job is now at this level is to first defend my box well, make sure I get good contacts and clearances. It sounds easy or simple to say in that sentence, and that is kind of what my job will be. And the extra side of it will be, you can play out a bit. But on the flip side, the way I see football is that
very different.
It's very different.
Because I'm thinking, like, how would you picture yourself in, just to say the name, like in an Atalanta team, for example, under Gasperini? I think that would be a good combination of, you know, because you could get, like, you know, chance of moving forward with the ball, you know.
Which I do like, because that's why I like playing in a free as well.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the outside, you have license to just go and join in.
Yeah.
And like express yourself a bit and do a bit. Yeah, that's what I mean. Not to say, that would be perfect or whatever, but they're what you want. That's what you want, really. In the ideal world, to have the freedom as a centre back my brain, to go forward, helping the attack on the build up, everything, but also do your job back there. 'Cause I do like defending as well. But in the ideal world, that's what it would be. I can do everything. I don't know, Cruyff turn someone and put a ball in the box and I get ooh. But also I can like win a header or make a slide tackle or big block. And that's what but as I said, in the lower level, you're based on the second part, what I said. Your big blocks, you're defending, your heading, your physicality. That's what you're judged on. Like, the other stuff is like, he can do it, or it's just an added bonus. But yeah, an Atalanta team, Yeah, Lookman, everybody. Yeah, it'd be nice, but
It
I'm
would
not
be
there.
nice.
It'd be nice, but
No,
yeah,
no, of course, of course. But you still, the thing is that you're still fairly young, especially for
yeah,
a centre back.
yeah.
So, like ambition wise, where would you like to see your career going?
Ambition wise, in my brain, I know I have the aspects to play in at minimum League One. It's just getting there, and also understanding if you don't get there, it's okay. Like you can say that is my ambition, and my is my belief because as I said, like not as I said, but the squad Oldham had last year was full of League One, some ex-Championship, yeah, a few ex-Championship players who have played at that level. Obviously, they're a bit old getting on, but I can see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you've touched it.
Yeah, and then but it's just getting there, which is harder said than done. But also, I have the belief in myself that I do have the ability to do so. So at least another stint in the league, like a good period of time, because you said I do have time, and if I'll be one of them. I'll play football till I'm 39, 40, like with no.
You're one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You love
Like,
it so much.
yeah, I love it so much. Like, so regardless, I think having longevity and just playing football as my career, and then just adding bits around it, like my coaching and stuff like that.
You like coaching as well.
Yeah, in my head, yeah. 'Cause I do think about the game more so. I don't know if other players do or not, but because I love football so much and I watch it so much, I do think, like, what would I do there? And if I feel like, oh, this training session's good, I'll note it down in my brain. I might even watch it back, and I might take it for myself. But I've not actually done any coaching yet, as such, in the sense of setting up a session. That's my next plan. That's my next thing to add to myself next year, is to go out and do
Some coaching.
some coaching, because I think about it too much to not do it.
Yeah, you should definitely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was gonna say, I thought you had already experienced the way you were talking about it. I just presumed you had done some coaching already.
Yeah, but that comes from Bournemouth, the way how everything was so detailed. So everything they taught me at Bournemouth, it doesn't relate to football now as such, but it's still there in my brain, and I still even think about it because I see it. Because like it's the same coaching group Eddie Howe's got in Newcastle. It's the same coaching group that I had at Bournemouth, like as a 21s, because they've just progressed and went with him. So all the details that I can see,
You still see it
I still see it.
when you're playing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Or when
crazy.
I'm watching, and then I understand what the training sessions were to do what they did. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You could see it
Yeah.
moving while
Yeah.
you're playing.
Yeah. Like even like examples like Joe Linton. Joe and Eddie Howe changed Joe
Yeah,
Linton to
into
a midfielder.
yeah.
Like if people knew, he was trying to do that with Dom Solanke.
Wow.
And Dom Solanke made it under 21's England squad as a midfielder.
Wow. I didn't know that detail, you know. I
'Cause-
did not know that.
Because he tried to, because Dom Solanke is a very good footballer, like as in
Yeah.
just overall
Yes.
as a footballer. And I don't know what Eddie Howe's thinking at the time, but if I'm my brain, I can say Callum Wilson's there, Josh King's there, and Dom Solanke's there. That's three good strikers.
How do I make a big football out of this group? You
Yeah.
know?
Dom Solanke, he can play a bit. He can play in the midfield a bit.
I could see it actually now that you mention it.
Yeah.
When I see how he's playing as a centre forward, I could see how he could translate
Yeah.
some of his football
Yeah.
into midfielder.
The way how he presses, the way how he gets
The
around the pitch, his
physicality.
physicality.
Yeah.
But he's technically good enough to
Technically good.
take the ball as well.
Yeah.
So he's played a few games at England on the younger level internationally as a midfielder. He's obviously he's a top striker as well.
Top striker,
you don't go
yeah.
to Tottenham for 60 mil if
No.
you're not a top striker. But to try and fit a talent like that in the team, you might say you're playing 10, but like in the midfield a bit, just so I can get you in, and I can. That's what I mean, where I can see certain things where he's probably done the same thing. He's physical, he's this, and he's a type of person I want in my team. How do I fit that person in my team? And I look at it like, how could I do that if I was a coach? So some players are too good to be just left out. And his desire and his everything is something you want in your starting 11. But what can he do in my starting 11? But he will still help the team, and at the same time, he won't look like an idiot on the pitch. So I look at that even with my own players. At Oldham, we had a squad of 30. And like throughout the season when everyone weren't playing, I thought, oh, could he do this or could he do that? I weren't telling anyone. I was just thinking about it.
You were just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting one day to see you coach then, to see
Yeah.
how you would implement that.
Yeah.
I think you could have a career into that.
Yeah.
Like from how you seeing it, I think is a very good trait. Being not necessarily flexible, but also like thinking about evolution of a player, an evolution of thinking outside of the box a little bit with the technical elements of the game.
I think you have to, and I think that's what Bournemouth taught me there. They weren't scared. I weren't the only one where they just took someone from like nothing sort of thing, where they see something in someone and they're like, we can pick and prod and like, you can do this, you can do that, and just develop things about in every aspect of the game. Like I don't know. There's a few of us, but take Jaden Anthony, because he's the one who's playing the Championship now. He got promoted with Burnley, he got promoted with Bournemouth. Like, was released from Arsenal, skinny as anything, right? But he's technically
gifted, yeah.
So gifted. But they've obviously seen that and said, do you know what? We've got something there. And they've just developed him, made him a first team player. And he's gone on to be what he like. He'll have a Championship Premier League career.
100%.
Up until in his 30s.
Yeah.
Just because Bournemouth seen something in him. Like, they was playing him off the 10, because he said because he can get on the ball, playing him out wide where he stays because he cuts in his shoots, his delivery, everything.
He's always been an interesting prospect, actually.
Yeah.
Because he's a modern type of player as well, I think. Because he combines physical elements, technical elements. I think it's something that at the moment is, we're going towards that direction. I think we are there already.
Yeah. And then I think you've got to see that in players. I don't think you can, think, oh, he's not complete yet, and say he's not ready. You should have the opposite thing. What can I do to add to him, so they are ready?
This gets me curious though. Talking about traits, would you say there are any like underrated traits or like overlooked traits about your game that maybe you haven't been asked to showcase enough, to put out there enough, that you think could actually be very critical to like team success?
The technical aspect.
Your technical aspects.
Yeah, like my technical ability on the ball. But as I said, it's where I'm at.
It's depending on where you're playing.
Where you're playing, everything. Because, as I said, some managers, for example, our plan as a team at Oldham on the ball was to get the ball into the strikers as quick as possible. And doing that, it draws their team to the strikers. The bodies go towards the strikers, and then we get the ball out wide. And then we have 1v1s out wide, get the ball and back into the box. Big strikers, hopefully score a goal.
Yeah.
Whereas your build-up's a lot different. You're having not as many touches on the ball.
Just as quick as possible on the striker.
You're just quick. If you have a time and space, and you see the striker, you play it.
You have to play it. Yeah.
You have to play it. Even though you might see your centre mid there in front of you, they'll see it as just an added pass where you don't need to. So if you get the ball into the striker as quick as possible, he has to be able to deal with it, and that's his job. And your job is to get the ball to him. And that's just the ask of that manager, which I understand, and it worked. But there's more I know I can do as a centre-back, but it's not what's asked of me. As I said before, I know at this point in my career, it's to do what's asked of me. And if I can show certain parts of that, of me, if I can show that on a Saturday, that I know that's there, I can do so. But first of all, it's doing what's asked of me, because that's my job.
That's your job, yeah.
Yeah,
It's interesting though, because what you're mentioning there is actually something I've seen looking up your stats.
yeah,
Um, the ability even to break lines,
yeah,
uh, to move forward with the ball. These are all things that, despite the fact that the tactical requirements were some,
yeah,
you still showed with your statistics that you are the sort of player that's comfortable with the ball,
yeah,
that's able to play those through passes, not necessarily directly on the striker.
yeah,
So it's interesting. I'll be keen to see if your next club. Obviously, like you mentioned, it's your job, so you do whatever's necessary.
yeah,
However, it'll be interesting to see you more maybe on the ball and
yeah.
uh,
It's so important. Like if you can break a line, whether you're midfield or centre back, without it being chaotic. 'Cause I think a ball into. I think anyway. My opinion on football. If I play a ball from one end to this end, it's
yeah.
predictable. Like the whole opponents can just see you doing this to that.
But if you break a line that's like even like a couple of meters away, then that shifts the
The
whole
whole dynamic,
dynamic.
yeah. And I've never played up top, but I can imagine if like you're running at me as a centre back, and I play to the centre mid who's literally just behind you, but like you said, a few meters away, and I break that line, and then you're a striker running after me, and I break that line, and then you have to turn around, and your midfield's back here, it'd be so demoralising. But if I kick the ball long, and
You're
then
waiting for that already.
you're like the striker's thinking, oh, I've done my job, I'm all right. Like, but if I play a ball into the centre mid, and the centre mid gets on it in turns, and he's in a distance where I should go to that, but he's not gonna go to it because he's like, I've just run here, so how am I gonna run there? But if the long ball, he's like, oh, that's all right, that's me, I'm all right, done my job. But as I said, football's different opinions, different this, and you just gotta, as I said, if I can do what is asked of me and also add my, I don't know
Your
how
flavor.
to add my flavour to it, I'll do it. But yeah, but
Do
yeah.
you think there's a word like a national league or below, or like League Two, where you see? I'm sure we've seen some examples, but where you could actually beat with a lower budget by proposing something different,
Oh yeah, of
playing.
course. Because there's a few teams. So Willstone, their manager who went to Notts County after, I think it was Luke Williams. Their manager went to Swansea. So the Willstone manager, I don't know if he's had experience in football before, but Willstone played a certain type of football where like you knew you was going to, like they was passing the ball on the floor, they was moving the ball well, they was trying to break lines, like they was trying to play football a certain way, and they was a lower budget team, just picked up people from like in around London, and the manager said we're playing this way, and they weren't easy to play against. It was on a lower budget, and that got him his move to Notts County. Unfortunately, he'd just been sacked, but he got his move to League Two for someone who's never been involved in. I don't know actually, but I can say he's not a big name
From
manager.
the outside, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
a
yeah.
big name, yeah.
From the outside, he's not a big name, but he implemented his style of play, which was, I don't want to say the right way. Do you know when they say like, oh, the
Yeah,
right way?
there
It isn't
isn't.
wrong or right way, but he played a certain style of play which was possession based with a lower budget team, not necessarily like well known, long careers in the league team, and kept him up consistently. Got himself a move to Notts County where they had a bigger budget considering for like League Two, and they are known to play a certain way. And I had Luke Williams, who's, you won't go to Swansea if you don't play a certain way. And I would say Notts County, when they was in the National League, they was better than the Wrexhams, because the way they move the ball is much harder to play against than the way how Wrexham play. But Wrexham are just very effective in how they play. Like they're going into the Championship, they'll probably play the same way they did in
Yeah.
the National League than they are in the Championship, just with better players. But it's just they're very effective. There's a reason why I don't know, their manager. he signs strikers over and over again because he knows that goals keep you in the league or win you the
Or
league.
win you the league, yeah.
But the rest of it behind it, they play the same way. Like they're playing into the big man. Someone's running off him, like, and it's just worked for them and it works for them. Whereas Notts County play a certain way, where they're going through all the thirds. It's possession based, and it's as a player, it's harder to play against. But obviously, it's not been as effective because they're in League Two, even though they got promoted at the same time. Them two, Notts County and Wrexham, they're in League Two. Wrexham are in the Championship. But their way, Wrexham's way, was so much more effective because they scored goals, and I wouldn't even say they necessarily defended well because they concede goals.
Yeah, of course.
But they're not, like that's their way of playing, and it's worked. And you'll have all the plaudits in the world, because he's got a team from the conference to the Championship. But his way of playing might not translate for Notts County. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
of
it's
course.
just like I think football, if you can implement your style of play and you do it well, no matter what, you should be all right. I think however you play.
Yeah, there isn't a. I personally like to say that there isn't a recipe for winning.
No.
It could be in any, because you have to contextualize everything. I'm sure this is as important. The group of players you have,
Yeah.
that's important. Like
Yeah.
the dressing room, that's just so important. Like having that good dynamic between players is also as important as how do you play football.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that wins you over talent or over
Yeah,
tactics.
of course. And I think that's one of the main things, if
Yeah.
anything. If if I say the players, if the manager can create an environment where the players enjoy, not even enjoy, where sometimes a group just clicks, and that's what the group just clicks, and that's what it is, regardless of how the manager says he wants you to play, and the group just clicks, and you have a group that are together, like they go out together, they play pool together, they do this together, they're just together, and it clicks and it works. Manager might get the plaudits for it, but he might have seen something, and he might just be no.
You might have said something,
But sometimes
at the end of the day,
is when the group clicks, it clicks, and then you do have on the flip side where a manager can dictate everything, and be so good of a manager, where the group is kind of his leadership doing what they're doing, like this, because his leadership is so good and so effective, and he's molded the group to go this way. And that's like, it's rare managers. If a manager can do that, they're in the Premier League. Because I think a manager who's a top level manager can do everything. He can create a group where he gets the right personalities in, the correct technical aspect for his team, and also lead them into one direction. Where like another manager don't have that side, where he might be the best technical, like coach, tactical, this, that, and the other, but he don't have that thing where he can bring a group together.
man management is probably. Would you say man management is the most important thing for a player, or like for a group of players?
I think for a group, because way how you treat one player, it will always filters down, because they see it. Like, we're all human. Like, if you're treating one player bad, like, you think, oh, could he do that to me?
That could, yeah.
Or he treats this certain player like different to others. Like, for example, like this striker is the top striker, which, like, I don't know. That's just an aspect of life where, like, this person's deemed to be this person, like the top level, or he's put on a pedestal, gets treated a different way, and players are seeing, why is he getting treated different from how I get treated? Players will see that and think, oh, I don't like that. And they'll start treating the player different, and then create a little something.
Do you think you see it when, like, because I feel like also, I think, I hope you understand what I mean. You can treat everyone equally, but you have to treat everyone differently.
Yeah,
Do you get what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Do you see that? Like, do you see when you're like, okay, he's I don't know, he's being a bit more harsh with him because
yeah.
he needs to get something out of his
I've a,
character, but at the same time he's being fair.
yeah,
Do you see that as a
yeah.
player?
It's a fine line.
Yeah,
It is a fine line where like he was a bit harsh on him, but as an individual, I might be able to take that.
yeah.
But a manager has to know which individuals can take what. But at the same time,
How is the group seeing that?
yeah, how is the group seeing that? But at the same time, if the manager, say for me, example, he shouts at me half time, he's screaming at me, this, that, and the other, but I can react to it and be all right. But then he walks over and says, look, you need to do this and that and whatever. And people see him physically walking over to that player and speaking to him. We don't know what at this point in time. And then there's a reaction from that player in the second half, and then the players would be like, oh, what did he say? Like, oh, he just told me to like cut inside and do this or whatever. He's still instructing him, but a very different way of how he instructed me. Like, he could be like screaming at me, oh, you need to effing do this, you need to this and whatever, and that's how I take it. But with the winger, you might be like, oh, look, you just need to
Do this, do
do
that.
this, and do this, and do that. But just it's still information being said, but just in two very different manners.
ways, yeah.
So he's kind of has treated us in the same, not in the same way. People might see it as a different perspective, but the be all and end all, he's doing it. He's still passing on information, but he's just doing it in a very different way.
Because I think that's also important, knowing your group of players and how each individual, reacts. But also, like you said, you need to be able to make sure, as a manager, this is my opinion, that the group of players think it's fair how everyone is treated.
Yeah,
Because you get to see everything. Like you said, when you're a player, you probably get to see and hear anything.
everything and everything, like just everything and anything, all different aspects from people fighting each other to people just always together and having like a little bromance, and just all aspects of life is in a football like locker room or whatever you call it, like changing room. Like, it's just, I don't know how to people won't understand a changing room until you're in one. Like, I don't know how to explain it, and that's why I have so much appreciation for managers, because I understand what a change room is like, because it can turn on
30 odd people there.
30 odd people, and it can just turn like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in like a toxic environment, it's
bad.
It's bad. It's so
hard to
bad.
deal
It's so
with.
hard, and it like, if for a manager to turn around like a toxic environment, like, would you, when like you get the classic, or a team's doing bad, they're in a relegation battle, and then the manager comes in. Like, I couldn't imagine that situation as a manager. I would hate it, because I know what that changing room. You get a little reaction from like, but all the other stuff creeps in afterwards. That because
It's toxic already.
it's already toxic.
It'll be hard to change that
Nah,
around.
yeah, how do you change that around? So like, it's, and then you go into that situation, you might be so good that you do change it around, or you might have the enough time to change it around, but at the same time, like, you might get it wrong, and then you get deemed like a bad manager, when it might not necessarily be that way, because the situation was already the situation. So a change room is, yeah, it's mental.
Did you have any? Did you have any manager that came in and just made things, like change things overnight almost?
Like the current Southend manager, Kevin Mayer, and his coaching staff with I don't even know their real names, Daz and Benno. They changed it around, because we had Phil Brown, right? And the club was in a dire situation as is. Like, Phil Brown had a next level job on his hand, because some of us was getting paid, some of us was not getting paid, weren't getting paid on time. Like, all sorts was going on. Holes in the roof, holes on the ground, at the training ground. Like, it was a toxic environment. And then Phil Brown came in, and he had to try to change that. but it was so hard in the sense of the damage was done, but we didn't need his type of management. He's onto you, like he's harsh, and he's demanding,
Discipline, yeah. Which
disciplinarian.
sometimes you need.
Sometimes you need, but it weren't what we
Not at
needed.
that particular
Not at that time. Because we're coming in thinking everything's already dire around us. You're not getting paid. Imagine you're not getting paid and the manager shouting at you.
You're like, what's going on?
What's going on? Or you're getting paid late. Or everything's like, you don't really necessarily want that. And I can see how in some situations it would work. But in our situation, it didn't work.
Did not work, yeah.
And then Kevin Mayer came in and he kind of gave us a direction of how we was going to play and said, this is how we're going to play. He was demanding, but he weren't too crazy with it. Like, he said what was expected of you, but he also created an environment which was much more light-hearted. But we still got in and did our work. But it was an environment which was a lot more light-hearted from what was going on the outside of the football club, and just kind of just put a, what do you call it, like a dome around the team.
Around it, yeah.
And just made us concentrate on ourselves. Because at Southend, there was protesting the owner, and who did we get beat by? Chesterfield. Got destroyed by Chesterfield. The fans came on the pitch protesting. Like, early on in the season, this was with Phil Brown and everything, came on, protested the ownership and everything that was going on. So you can imagine how volatile the situation was. So when they brought in Kevin Mayer, club legend and all that, like, it fed the fans of like, yeah, we've got our club legend, but also he did a job where
sheltered the team
and kind of where I faced him in Wembley. Do you know what I mean? So I could say that's the time where our managers turned around a toxic environment.
That's amazing story right there. I think, yeah, like you said, because with football you don't have a straight line.
No.
So I think, and like you said, like a locker room, it could be like, you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there's 30 odd individuals with all different personalities, different lives, different private, lives.
Yeah.
And different stages of their careers, injuries, and you get any sorts, really. Club situation, ownership, presidents, sporting directors. There's so many parts involved. The fans.
Yeah.
It's it's. I mean, it's a beautiful story right there. But yeah, I have some more questions to end up the. It's something a bit more relaxed, but I've enjoyed this so much so far. I have a few like quick fire. What's the best stadium you've played in? I think this is an easy.
Easy.
This is the easiest answer for you.
Just Wembley.
How was that? Like, just touch on that if you can.
Yeah, it's because the year before I went to watch Jadon Anthony, Leeds versus Southampton.
Yeah.
And I looked at it thinking, it was the first time the year before was the first time I've been in it thinking, wow, this is Wembley.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Best stadium I've been in my life.
It's insane. And then the flip side where like we stayed in the Hilton, which was right next to Wembley. Right. And then we did like a 2-minute bus drive, and like the whole situation where like they blocked the road for us to go underneath Wembley, and you're just waiting underneath Wembley, and then like you get off the bus and you walk out and you just see Wembley, and it's just like, I'm at Wembley.
Do you feel like, because as in Italy, as Italian, we don't have such thing for like the low leagues.
Yeah.
But I think it's a special thing because
So
you almost feel like you're in a Champions League final,
Yeah.
don't you? Like, it's just like such a beautiful setup.
Yeah, like 50,000 fans. Like as you said, like it felt at that moment in time, it felt like a World Cup Champions League final.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have told me any different. Like that was my.
That's what you feel like.
Yeah. Like,
wow.
Like just when like say the TV, like the big screen, as a player, like I would even think like before, obviously when you're playing in National League, you're not on the big screen, are you? Like your reaction and everything's not on the big screen. And then like the balls went out of the play, and I just saw my
You
face.
see
In it.
yourself.
I was like, "What is this?" I was like, and you just like, "Oh, I'm playing." Like, do you know what I mean? You can,
Wow,
yeah,
yeah.
the emotion, yeah, just went.
Must
Yes,
have been hard to even deal with these emotions
yeah, yeah,
on the spot.
yeah. As I
Because there's
said,
already like a pressured environment where you're
yeah,
playing, for your team, but then to see yourself
yeah.
in the big screen.
Cause I was saying, me and the captain was on the bench for the game. Started off on the bench, and we just had to keep warming up because we were so emotional. I've never been that emotional in a game. Normally, I'm quite like calm, but
It gets to you.
it just got to me. Like it was so emotional. Like I'm screaming, I'm hitting the bench, and I need to warm up. So me and the captain are warming up, and it was just an emotional roller coaster. Like seeing the team go down, thinking, "Oh no," and then we go back, draw, and then we win, and then we score another goal, and it's 3-2, and it's just like pandemonium. It's just and at this moment in time, there'll be nothing like it.
Wow. I wish I would have asked you this as a last question because it's
Yeah,
amazing. Um, what's the toughest opponent that you've ever faced? Because you might have faced some.
a few, but it'd be a weird one where it was when I was at Burnley playing up for the under-21s, and we played against Forest, and I played against Dexter Blackstock.
Okay.
Like it's a weird one, and I thought, like, I don't know how to explain it. When you're playing against people your age, it's like you either better than them or they're just out of this world. But everyone would know this kid's out of this world, right? But when when we went and played Forest, it was at their training ground, played the under-21s game. He's coming back from injury. Like, not to disrespect him, you don't know who Dexter Blackstock is. Like, you don't know he's had a championship career, played like hundreds of games in the championship. He's just coming back to get fit,
And then it's just
and he's just
dismantling you.
just destroyed me. I was thinking, I had to Google him afterwards.
What's
Like
this guy?
who is this guy? Like, I've never heard of him in my life, and he's just bullied me, and I couldn't do anything about it. Like I didn't know how to go around it, and it just caught me off guard. And as I said, it's a weird one. You wouldn't expect where like I could say training like Jermaine Defoe or whatever, but it was him. Because as I said, you expect Jermaine Defoe to be Jermaine Defoe. I did not expect Dexter Blackstock to be Dexter Blackstock.
Yeah.
Like, he just destroyed me. So yeah, it'd be him.
That's an interesting one. And if you guys don't know, Google.
Yeah.
Dream centre back partner. What would you say?
Dream. I'll go back.
My United fans
Yeah.
probably will be
Real. No, actually, could be too similar. I'll say Vidic.
Vidic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So
I
we
can
could
see
play
it.
off each other.
One, an elegant one and a
Yeah,
more like
yeah.
rough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your go-to pre-match meal? Like something that you have now? Is it just like now fuel to your body or?
No, it's quite, but not. So the Friday, always have to have fish on a Friday. Not
Okay.
because of religious reasons, just because whatever. I don't know why. I have a salmon or sea bass with some carb, and then in the morning, 'cause I like to be I feel light as possible, even though it makes no difference. So I'll probably have scrambled egg with toast. I don't really do pastas and that before a game or anything like that on the day of a game. So I'll probably just, it can be anything on the day of the game. Like, I might wake up, if I'm at home, I wake up, I might feel like eggs, I might feel like porridge, but it'd be
Something like
something like, especially for a 3 o'clock kickoff. So it'd be on the day of the game, it can be anything, but on the Friday,
fish.
it's some sort of fish
Interesting.
with some carb.
And your favorite non-football athlete? What would you say it is?
Non-football athlete.
Do you follow anything else apart from
I
football?
follow quite a bit because in my household, my dad's a cricket fan, so I have to
Okay.
watch cricket even though I hate it. I say basketball.
Basketball, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. I don't want to be just basic and say Usain Bolt or Michael Jordan.
I mean,
I know, but everyone would say that. Yeah. Do you know what? I'll say Rafa Nadal.
Rafa Nadal,
Yeah.
interesting. You watch some tennis as well.
Yeah,
then?
yeah. Wimbledon are during time, and obviously the French Open and whatever. But growing up, it was Federer and Nadal,
Yeah.
and Federer's the elegant, like the elegant man,
And
just
that was a hard
yeah,
working.
hard grafting. You'll get to
Yeah,
everything,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he was it's Nadal. Yeah,
Nice. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sean. It's been
thank you.
a massive pleasure having you here. A lot of underrated stories as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the pitch again and to catch up maybe next year.
yeah, yeah. Good to be here. Thanks for having me. And yes, good experience. And then yeah, we'll see each other around maybe. Oh,
Of course, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much
No
again.
worries.
Good
Thank you.
luck with that.